This is Talk Digi to Me, where we dig into stories about digital marketing, business, and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Carlie Robinson, and I'm so excited for my guest today, Erin Bovell. She puts all the energy in the room. She's a radio host on Y103.3. She's a social media marketer, and she's even got her own business. I can't wait to hear everything you've got to say, Erin. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so excited because just before we started, you reminded me of a show we used to do.
For those of y'all who are not new to this space, Carlie and I did a show, I think in 2017, called The Wind Down.
I'm glad you remember the year.
News. I know,
Good.
As I was saying to Carlie, it is not only based on my great memory, it's also the fact that I stored that image somewhere randomly.
It was so fun. We talked
Yeah.
about news. We drank wine. It was a great video show. Yahira Archibald was producing it with us. I mean, that was the time of our lives.
It was epic. I had a time for sure. And also we wore the same colors.
Yes.
So and we did not coordinate this. We're both in white. I feel like, this is definitely a full circle moment for me, and I love it here.
I'm loving it. I'm
Yes.
loving seeing your growth also very
Same
consistently.
as yours.
So for the listeners, for the viewers, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey in marketing as an entrepreneur? Like, how did you get into marketing, first of all?
Right. So, I mean, I have a background in dance. So I was one of those who decided to study the arts. And, it can come with its own creative challenges, especially in performance arts. There might not be much of an outlet sometimes for you to actually put it on display unless it was crop over season. Now that has completely changed. Thank God for evolution with that aspect. But moving from performance art, I then got into marketing on a radio standpoint. I would have worked as a voiceover artist for a very long time. And then I was granted the opportunity to work with an advertising agency. And I worked in the back end writing their actual scripts. And then slowly but surely, I guess from script writing for radio, I then got into social and so forth. And we've snowballed into this where I'm currently at.
And you're hosting the morning show at the moment on radio. How's that going?
It's going great. Those who may know, you'll hear me as what do I call myself? The in-between music talker from 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. on Y103. That's me. And you can actually put a face to that voice now.
Yes.
And I also have my own dance brand because dance has never left me. I have continued in that. And the company's called Flow Work.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think that if you're going to be in marketing, you really need like some creative spirit to survive in marketing?
100%. I remember actually at the time a previous employer saying to me, when the client comes and they're asking you to do a ton of changes, and those who work in marketing know exactly what I'm talking about. We don't call them issues, we call them creative challenges. It's like if they're trying to challenge your mind creatively every single time for you to see if you can output something different. And yes, there is a level of resilience that you have to have within self to be able to output not only on demand, but also just in general creativity of self.
Yeah, I like what you're getting into there, because that's something that myself, I think about a lot as well. Being able to create on demand. It's like, okay, we need to write XYZ. So could you do it by 5 o'clock or
the deadline
whatever?
is now.
But I need to sip my coffee. I need to dim my
Create
lights. I need
ambiance.
to create my ambiance. I need to get into the mode. That'll take 3 hours.
Yeah.
Then we can start.
Yeah, pretty much. But you know what? It gets you there. Sometimes sometimes you feel like your back is against the wall, but in those moments, I guess that's when they say pressure makes diamonds. And definitely diamonds are made in those moments.
I think that brings us to one of the topics I really wanted to focus on today, which is brand storytelling. And a part of that is using authenticity. I think that if you're going to be a creative, you have to have that that has to be authentic to you. It has to live inside of you for you to be able to bring it out in the work that we do.
Yeah.
So in terms of content marketing, we've got so many things we have to create on a day-to-day basis. We've got articles we got to write. We got videos we got to do. We got podcasts we have to do. Infographics, design work, all different types of content marketing. How do we keep a brand story authentic throughout that process?
Well, I guess for me, being able to focus on your why. Always being able to go back to your why. Why did I create this product? Who am I aiming to serve? Because at the end of the day, yes, you can create art for yourself, but I know that there's a message that you want to get over to and you want to reach certain people. So ideally, you want to stick to your brand ethos, for lack of a better term, and then disseminate it. So there's the conversation around the 7 C's, literally not the tablet, but the actual 7 C's of content marketing. I would say, I may not remember all, but let's go through them. I would say that the first one is community, which I kind of touched on just now. Knowing the people that you actually want to serve and being able to talk to them, personify them. And I mean, like, to a T, it could, like, I guess I'll speak for myself. I remember having this exercise with actually a mutual friend of ours, Corey, and he was saying to me, Erin, if you could identify persons that come to your dance classes, who are they? And let's actually name them. And one of them, I dubbed my mother's name, Margaret, and I consider that woman to be the woman who is mature and wants to continue establishing her sensuality and femininity and rediscover that. And then another one could have been, Khadija, and that name doesn't stick, but either way, don't mind that. She is younger and she's now stepping into her sensuality and her femininity. And when I was able to figure out who those communities were, I was then able to disseminate the message, which goes to the conversation, which is another one of the C's.
Before we hit conversation, and I want to get to that one, but you're making me think of a really good practical exercise that you have to do, which is developing your brand personas. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
You want to start your brand message. You have to do that little bit of exercise in who am I talking to? What do they care about?
And where are they?
Yeah.
Where are they having these conversations? Are they really having these conversations online or are they having them offline? And I think a lot of the time, I know this is like talk digi to me, but digital does go offline. You have to be able to reach people in their pods or in their hubs outside of their phones, their laptops. This, if anything, their phone or their laptop is just the initial touch point. You have to really penetrate the community when you actually go and touch these people because they're still human and there's a human element to all of marketing. That's what I stand by.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So back to conversation now. Literally, I guess following on, where are they? What are they talking about? And what type of engagement do they want to have? The said same Margaret, she might be, let's say, a divorcee. She wants to have the conversation about, well, how do I get back to me?
Yeah.
How do I feel my most feminine now that there's a part of my life that has changed? And then similarly, it could be another thing where, let's say, it's another brand. What are you saying to them? How are you developing those conversations? How do you engage authentically so that they feel like they're represented? That kind of thing, Another C is content. And again, I think this all ties in as well too. What is the content type that you will use that they will best gravitate to? So we all know reels are a thing and they're only 7 seconds. And at this point, if you're not delivering what you need to do within that first second, you already know somebody's swipe and gone long. Nobody ain't going on your page no more. Everybody just scrolling through the explore. That's how it is. I saw a video recently, ironically enough, and I actually clicked on it and I'm following that person, but they were speaking on, how a timeline is now these days. Your content is going to be mushed between something about climate change and another thing about cats and dogs and funny videos.
Oh, yes.
So whatever it is that you're putting out there, it has to be, I guess, entertaining, relatable, topical enough that it will actually make somebody stop.
Yeah.
Whether it's an infographic, as you mentioned, a blog, an article of writing, whichever, whether it be a video, etc., picture. It has to tell that story that you're wishing to evoke emotion-wise from that person.
Question for you on that. Is video king? Is video still king? Like, it has to be moving in order to get attention. Is a still photo enough?
I think, or I should say, my diplomatic answer to that is going to be content is king, but what trumps content is authentic content.
Ooh.
Original
on topic,
content.
Girl.
Hello, original content, because everyone is going to do a trend that they saw.
Yeah.
But the real question is, after a while, when the viewers see it, you just blend in with everyone else who did the trend. How are you actually now telling your true story? Yeah. What is the original content that you're creating? Everybody wants to go viral, but are you going viral for the right reasons?
And to the right community,
and
maybe.
To the right community. It's not just one thing to know when you look at your metrics. Oh, great. 10,000 people saw me, whether it be organic or a paid ad. But out of those 10,000, how many conversions are you actually getting?
Yeah.
Another one of the C's.
Very important.
Of marketing. You want to get the sale. And I mean, again, it comes and it should come from the upper level of am I serving the right person? Am I sharing the message that I want them to actually hear? You know, is the conversation enough for them to engage with me so that they will actually click? And, you know, click the link in bio, whether they're reading the blog or whether they're actually deciding to sign up for the course.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So I feel like, yeah, boy.
Do you think enough people are measuring conversions? Or are too many people getting fixated on, did I get an enough likes and enough eyeballs on it? Are we still fixated on that and not what's the conversion?
I do think that there is still a very heavy focus on vanity metrics. And persons might be more so establishing a conversion based on a smaller spend and a greater yield. And I think that's how social media blew up. We all recognize in the marketing world, you can spend 10 USD and you can get over 10,000 views. And I do not know if persons have really taken the time to adapt their mindset of, am I really getting 10,000 of the right people viewing my content? So I am not entirely certain if persons are paying that much attention to conversions, but I can speak only for my brand. And I think, you know, at present, that's something that I'm definitely focusing on.
I think that's a question that a lot of, I've kind of heard from a lot of people like in the CEO or business owner level who are maybe more traditional in their marketing sense, and they're not quite bought into social media as much as they want to know, all right, well, how many customers am I getting from this? So like, I don't care about these views. Whereas I think the younger ones of us who are more excited about social media and it's, like you said, it's vanity metrics in a way. We're excited about that. We look at like the awareness and the impressions as like, yes, big thing, but we tend to forget like, okay, well, that doesn't necessarily mean a sale. We still need to look at the numbers at the end of the day. What's the ROI we're getting?
Agreed. And that could possibly lead into creation. You know, it can lead into story. What is the story and series of stories that we are telling as we create for this campaign or create for this content calendar? What are we really outputting that will then yield for the proper conversion or the most authentic conversion that we wish for?
Yeah. And another reminder here is to do some testing in terms of like, what are the types of content that we've put out that have given us the best result?
Yeah, no.
You know, what's working for us? Let's replicate it. Just keep doing it over and over.
Right. And I mean, I feel like that kind of wraps up all the C's, truthfully speaking, because if you can kind of pinpoint all of those and then get to the end, test and invest and do your analytics really, and whatever those true analytics are for you, like whether it's, okay, I just wanted to get 5,000 new followers or 500, that's probably more like realistic metric. Or if you wanted to get, 10 more sales than you did last quarter, whatever that is, to your point, test and invest and figure out, okay, are we on the timeline or do we need to adjust kind of thing?
What's your process when you have to approach a new, either creating for a new campaign for digital or social, or maybe you've got a new client and you're ready to work on their first calendar? Like, do you have a creative process that you put into that?
Yeah. And then at the same time, no.
Right.
1,000% a creative. Sometimes I literally just,
and it's perfect and it came out immediately.
To the wind and I say, universe, bestow me creation. Sometimes I actually do go in with pen and paper. I'm very old school in that regard, where I like to write. I guess it's a mixture of a few things. I personally like to attack things by quarter. And I think this could be more telling of my personality. I want to know an overarching theme that I wish to tell for the next 3 months. And then by month, I will then dissect what I want to tell each month that will flow within a series of stories. So I guess, let's tie it to natural calendar. January, everybody's let's say it's a fitness brand.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting back in the gym. We already know everybody getting back in the gym either bought the clothes or they're looking to buy the clothes. They're looking to buy the supplements. They want to work off the Christmas meal.
Correct.
You already know what's the story you're planning to tell. And it works hook, line, and sinker every single time, And I mean, sorry, everybody out there who's been thinking to themselves, oh, no, I'm not a part of the sales psychology. And, no one can rope me into marketing. Boo, don't worry. I just let you. I in it too. But it works from the standpoint of once you don't feel like you're being exploited, you can still continue on. And, from, I guess, knowing that quarter, I then structure out campaigns, and then I build whatever caption development I'd like, probably storyboard some visuals, figure out what I'm going to separate from info to actual video to pictures, and then kind of test and invest and go from there.
Do you find it difficult to work on the same brand over and over?
Yes.
Okay, because I do struggle with that a lot.
Yes.
It's like,
and what I do is I throw it out to my friends, like you.
Outsource.
I outsource. Wink. Because sometimes, and realistically, two heads work better than one.
But yeah, and I find like, if you keep staring at something, you're gonna stop seeing it properly.
Yes.
You need to close your eyes or get fresh eyes and fresh perspective.
Agreed.
Things,
pretty much use your friends. That's what they're there for. Or now with the beauty of the internet, I don't find it in any way lazy on my part to exercise utilizing AI.
Yeah.
Or possibly using someone else's template online. That's what all these resources are for. They help to, as you say, generate new ideas. And there's a level of freshness that you would have never expected could have come to this thing because you were only looking at it from one pair of lens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about continuing to be authentic to that brand and their messaging? Do you find that like meetings help, or getting to know the business owner, or getting to know the products and using them yourself? Do you find that things like that really help you tell the authentic story of the brand?
No, agreed. I do. And I am very old school in a sense of I love a good brainstorm. Nothing beats being in a room with a bunch of creatives and actually being able to hash out ideas and being inspired and feeling that energy, and then being able to go and cultivate something. Like, it really does get the juices flowing and going. So if there's one thing I will never take away as we move into more digital and sometimes a reserved area or era, I will definitely keep those brainstorms going for me.
You know what I like doing? I really like actually consuming the product that I'm talking about, or using the service that I'm talking about, because I feel like that gives you just a whole different approach to it. Like if it's a cookie or a drink or whatever, I like to go out to buy it, to touch it, to feel it. And it's like, okay, I have ideas now.
Yeah.
I find that helps a lot.
No, it does. And I think similarly as well, too, it tells to the authentic story. Because now you are not only speaking from a standpoint of a second person, you're actually like the individual consuming it, as you mentioned. So it's a first person experience, and who better than to talk about it as a consumer than you consuming product.
One story that comes to mind is things like a Shirley biscuit. So if you think about how, God, everybody loves them. Yeah. But like the act of eating around the edges of the biscuit, like that is something that if you've never eaten the Shirley biscuit or ever grown up with it, you'll never know what to talk about. But the minute you put that on social media, people are like, oh, that's me too.
Yes, it is. And again, it relates to the whole community thing, like you can't speak on it unless you know about it and you are about it, Yeah, no, agreed.
I don't know if this is factual or not. Maybe it isn't. Maybe you'll have a different opinion on it. But I feel like business owners who are really fundamental to their brand or their product or their service, i.e. they're the face of it, or they're the inventor of it, or they're the person who's really doing a lot of the pushing on social media. I feel like they have an easier approach to telling their story in an authentic way, because it's almost like it's coming straight from their mouth. It's coming straight from their heart. Do you have an opinion on that? Do you think it's easier or more authentic?
I will say, yeah, for sure. If it is that it's your baby, then you're probably going to talk about it in the most loving, euphoric, I created this thing. But I guess that also comes twofold from a standpoint of when you are so close to something, maybe you might miss other things. And I do think that it does help when you can take a step back and also listen to others around. Feedback is so important. I'm betting how I know of my brand, my dance brand, the women probably have another view. It may be synonymous with my view, but at the same time, it also might be one that I never considered, because I don't know what I could be cultivating at times. I don't know what space I might be creating other than the one that I believe I have in my head. So it's always good to, listen to other voices that are trusted.
Yeah. So let's talk about your own brand too, because I wanted to ask you about that. You've been in social media. You're a radio personality. You're a media personality. You know about marketing. You've also started your own business, and now you have to take up your social media. You have to create your own social media. You have to drive that process. Is that hard?
Oh my God, as shit. I don't even know if I could curse for this podcast, but yes, it is difficult as shite. And I'm literally, I feel like this should be a shameless plug. By looking for somebody to handle my social media all now, girl. It is shambles. But I mean, by my standard, and I guess, by my standard, based on the fact that I know the output that I do for others. And, I know somebody can probably be like, girl, how is it you putting all that energy for everybody else and you kind of put it in space? So I work in that, all right? Hold tight. I work in that. But in the in between time, I actually agree with you. It is a bit tough. And I also think that it gives, speaking on a business, trying, manifesting the the enterprise that Flowert will become. I think it's important to have who's in your business, who will do and who you can delegate, who you can disseminate to. And that allows you the freedom to create where you want to be. So of late, I want to more so get back to focusing primarily on choreography, where I want to go with that, how I want to reach my people, the message I want to send. And in turn, I would love to give the social to someone who I can give that message to, and they can distribute that accordingly. There's a lot that you do when you recognize that you're becoming a solopreneur and you get lost in the bookkeeping and I's my own like man too. I put up my camera, and I joke about this all the time, but I put up a camera and then I don't hit record.
Imagine if you did that for a client, you would kill yourself. You'd be like, I would never do that, but you do it yourself.
Exactly. But that being said, yes, it is important to, I would outsource personally. So yeah, it's tough, but we're working. But I think also what I'm trying to wrap up is have a team. Don't wait until you're 10 years in and you're thinking you won't hold on to you, baby, because you're the only body that could do this. No. That's not how you grow. Yeah. You grow by actually being able to lead. And by being a really good leader, you're going to have to find strong who's. I didn't say what's. I said who's, because those are the people that will help hold up your brand pillars and actually take the brand where you want it to go.
Okay, well, I guess that's a good segue into things like brand pillars and explaining what we mean when we say brand pillars. Right. In my head, those are like, well, I guess you said it, the aspects that hold up your brand, that make up your brand. They're also called like buckets, essentially, like where you can drop content into different types of content that will support them. A big one is authenticity. Yes. I think that's a really major brand pillar. Locality, or being local, is another one. There are a lot of local companies who might want to emphasize that as something, it's produced locally, or it reflects the authenticity of the country that it's in, and that kind of thing. What are some of the other brand pillars that you might focus on in your work?
Good question. I guess it depends on the
type of business too. Corporate social responsibility is another one that it's good to talk about what you're doing in your communities and if you're environmentally friendly and like that kind of thing. Those are definitely good, almost like headlines or headers that you can use to create content under those themes. I think that works out well. One other thing I want to touch on a little bit today is inspiring loyalty among followers. We're an instant gratification generation. I think you said that earlier. Yes. How do we keep people loyal? How do we keep people interested in content? I mean, it comes out 24/7.
Yeah, boy. I think I was listening to something recently, and the person said, I'm not entirely sure if it's factual, but in particular with I think either Wimbledon or something or the other, they put out over 1,000 bits of content within one series of an open. Like, if you're having, I don't know, a couple of matches, When I think of 1,000 bits of content, that's how much I probably could produce a year. And I feel I don't even produce that much. So when you say like content is coming out like bush, it really is these days. And, you know, being able to incite loyalty within customers, I think is very much based off of knowing your authentic story and knowing, I think we talk about it from a standpoint of is it USPs?
Your unique selling points. Yeah.
Like you have to know that this is a unique ability within you.
Yeah.
There are 8.2 billion people in the world, and there's probably just as much businesses that have been created. Whatever you could possibly conceptualize, it's already out there.
Yeah.
Like that's the fact. The question really more so is, how can I tell that story with this thing? I don't think that we as brands, businesses, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, enterprises should focus so heavily on a product only. We are really selling emotions. And if you look at the bigger brands, you'll recognize that they do exactly that. You know, like Nike, for example, with their slogan, "Just Do It," they're really selling athleticism. They're selling like you are able to be greater than what you think in your head, push past all those negative thoughts and just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like if you look at other brands and you kind of go down the list, you'll recognize if you focus more on selling the emotion you want people to feel, that ties in with your authenticity, that ties in with the loyalty of the customer base that you will have.
I think that's a good point. It's almost like the product itself, let's say they're all the same. There's really no difference. What the person is buying into is you.
Yeah.
The story that you've told them about who you are. Sometimes people will make the purchase based on the fact that I like this person. We share the same ideals, or this company. We share the same ideals. Yeah. We have the same community mindset.
I can see myself in this product, in this service, and I will come to that person just because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a really great time talking to you today. I definitely, like I said, brings the energy in the room. And very on topic. You're definitely somebody who's always been very authentic and continues to be so in your work and in your own own company. Before we close out, like, what's next for you? What are you working on now? What are the big projects coming up?
Oh, man.
Anything fun?
I mean, so much fun is happening. I'm even a little bit nervous to even talk about it. But you know what? In the aspect of being authentic, I'm manifesting my future. There will be events from Flow Work coming pretty soon. Definitely newness. I'm very excited. I've been talking to the girls for a while, and I've been saying I feel like I am the brand, the company is in a transitional phase. And I am looking to really challenge myself and step out of just the choreographic realm that I've been in and start doing more and serving the community as I really wish to. Like, I want to continue to dive more into feminine empowerment and that kind of thing. So look out for some Flow Work events for sure. Stand up on radio too.
Good. I love to hear you.
When I get here, thanks.
I love to hear you on People Radio.
Thanks for tuning in, girl. I appreciate you, man, so much. Yeah, more to come there as well. Love to develop some new shows. Carlie,
yes,
I said I wanted to get into radio, but I did not also getting into radio, man. I had to create my own ideas and my shows. So that being said, shameless plug right here. Anybody that would like to sponsor idea, I'm full of ideas. Yeah. Just reach out to me. Yes, and what else? Just continuing to live in my most authentic being, and just I have a slogan. I want to get paid to play. I want to continue to play throughout my life.
This is your mantra before bed on the night.
Yes, my mantra before bed when I take off the little makeup or whatever. I don't really wear much, don't mind that. When I decide to decompress and I light a candle and like talking to myself and I put on the little sultry music, the hertz, you know what I mean? The whatever 4 hertz chakra. No disrespect to the spiritual community. I was saying I want to get paid to play, because when I feel like it's play, then literally abundance will come.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I want to put that out to everyone else as well, too.
I love that. Erin, I really hope that you are dancing in the abundance in the near future. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Talk Digi to Me.